Welcome to Desk Dynamics. This is a podcast where we talk about some of the cool things we're doing in the service desk to move towards our target picture, which is delivering great user experience through expertise and technology. My guest today is from all the way across the Atlantic, Hazel. Hi, Hazel. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Hazel. Joined DHL back in 2014 when I was actually going out from high school. So I like to say that DHL raised me somehow. In October is going to be 9 years working here. And I'm one of the current team leaders for Americas. I'm currently leading supply chain for the past 8 months.
Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your journey in DHL.
Honestly, I think it has been one of the most amazing experience. As I said before, this has been my first and only job. I joined as a requirement to end high school. So I had to do 2 months of my service so I could graduate and go to the university. And when I joined DHL, I wasn't actually thinking on working and studying. At the very first beginning, I was just thinking to go through the 2 months and then go to the university. But when I came to DHL and I got the chance to, just see how independent I could be and how was the company, I started wanting to stay. So in December back in 2014, they offered me a contract, and I have been working for the past 9 years almost in service desk. I joined as a field support agent, but I did that for a couple of months, and then I moved to QA. And that's what I love QA so much because that was the first official job I did here. But then I moved to agent, senior, and specialist. I think it has been very different from the normal journey because I have had the chance to travel to different countries to bring new services to Costa Rica. So I had the chance to get to know the business, talk to the users. I actually lived in Malaysia for 2 months, and then I went to Canada. I have been in the US, and honestly, I mean, even though sometimes it's hard, I would do it over and over. It's been an amazing experience. I think I have been lucky and blessed enough to had good leaders across my career that had the time to basically show me the path, and they took the time for me to learn the things. I think you don't get that from a lot of companies. It's hard for them to trust new people, which I understand. But what DHL did for me, I think it's something is not very common. Trust someone you don't know, trust someone that does not have experience, and actually give them the opportunity to grow and to learn. And just give me the chance. I remember that the first time I traveled, I was only 20 years old, and they trust me. They said, well, you're traveling to Malaysia. We're going to give you the chance. You're going to bring the service to Costa Rica. And I think, they had a different names to send, but they picked my name. And I think that when you know and you feel that the company trusts you, it creates a different bond, and it makes you, just want to stay because every single day you're asking, what is there more for me? What is next for me? So I think that what this company has done for me, I think it's different. It's difficult to get in the business, but I think it what actually makes me have this big bond that I have with DHL because honestly, I always joke with my dad that I hope this is my one and only job. And I hope to, just to get old here. Well, I'm already old, but get older.
Yeah. No, I'm well into my 40s, and anyone who's not 40 yet is too young. So great. Thank you for sharing that, Hazel. I think certainly the opportunity to learn and working with people who, when you work with them, you feel like they actually care about you and about your personal growth is has been a big motivating factor for me as well. So good to hear that you've had some of that in your career. And actually, we're here to talk about motivation and leadership.
Think I
We're
have.
working on a lot of changes towards our target picture, right? But none of it actually works if the people that we're working with don't understand the target picture or don't believe in the target picture, or they're not motivated to contribute to the target picture,
I'd like to think that when it comes to leadership, I like to say that it is not about you, but it starts with you. So I think that as a leaders, our first thing is to try to understand why we are doing the changes and believing in them. I think that something that motivates me every single day to come here is that I believe in what we do. I think that what this company does and what we do in service desk is crucial, is necessary, and sometimes it's going to change. But I think that it starts with me believing in, just going with the company. And I know it might sound as a cliche, but I believe in what we do. I think that what this company does is something that is so crucial in our world right now, and the service desk for the companies. I think when I say it start with us, that's what I mean. You have to be the first believing in what we do. You have to understand why it's so important for us to be here, and then with that, it's going to be very easy for your team to actually join you in that feeling. When it comes to motivation, I think we all have different drivers, and that is something we all need to understand. For some people, might be the family, the university, but I think that when we can come all to point, of understanding why it's so important, understanding why we are here, it's easy to motivate them. I think that, if you are the lead and you are in front of the people, if they feel and they know that you believe in what we are doing, it's going to be very easy for them to follow. But at the same time, as I said before, it is not about you, it is about them. So taking the time to actually sit with them and explaining to them why the changes, why is it the need for us to change. I think you can listen to them, and most of the time you will get nice point of view. When we did this change we did a couple of weeks ago, I thought it was necessary for my team to have small discussions about why was this happening and just listening to them. I think sometimes it's just a matter of talking. If you believe in it, if you let them know that I'm here, I trust in what we do, I want to hear what you think, it's going to be very easy for them to engage, which is something I think it's a very trending word, engagement, but it's something that start with us, start with you or with me as a leader, but it's not about us. That's about it.
Let's say one of our big focuses in the service desk is automation. Tell me how you talk to your team, for example, about something like automation and what they say to you about it.
The way we see it is that we are not like the services that support supply chain. No, we are part of the supply chain operation. So we are as important as the ones working in the warehousing, the directors from supply chain. So the way I like to discuss every single time I have someone new is that this is not separate business. We are only one single company, and we are here to provide a service. We do amazing things here, when the COVID situation for me was one of the most perfect examples, because I was telling my team, you think it's only a call, but it's not a call. If we don't answer that call, there might be a lot of vaccines that are not going to move from the place they are. So we are doing more to just answering calls and tickets. When we talk about things as an automation, the way I like to I ask them to see it is that we are improving our service for them to provide the final service to our customers. And I think that's the easiest way to see it, because if you start thinking, oh, they're gonna take my job away. Well, I mean, what we are doing is because we want to grow as a company. And I'm not thinking about services, I'm thinking about what DHL does. So when I talk with them about automation, when we talk about improving the service with automation or whatever it is, I let them know, or I try to show them that it is not for us and it is not for supply chain. It's for the company. It's for the ones that are waiting their package. It could be a simple table or it could be a vaccine. Sometimes it could be an elephant, sometimes it could be something smaller. But the way I try and I like for them to understand is that this is not about service desk. This is not about supply chain. This is about DHL. And if we are doing an improvement, we're growing as a company. So I don't think that's why you might see that we are not like, oh, they are gonna take my job away. We see it more like, okay, we are improving. We are doing something better, as as we are supposed to.
Mm. I love that with everything you link to what DHL does and what the purpose of DHL is. Because you're right, it's not about the service desk. We're here to do we're here to do a job for DHL. Yeah, and I like that connection to the big picture very much. So it's very cool.
You know, I think when I started traveling, I got the opportunity to get to know the business. And I think that is something that changed my mind a lot because sometimes we are sitting here and we are just thinking, yeah, it's another call, this is another chat, this is another ticket. But if we stop doing that, the company probably will have a lot of issues. So as I explained to my team, what we do here is crucial. It's important. We are as important as any other CEO of the company because there is there is a reason why we are here. And I like to always invite them to understand why it's so important what we do here. And sometimes, you might get people saying, well, I don't want to stay here in the service desk. And that's fine. I mean, you don't have to stay here forever. But somehow what you are doing is actually helping the business, but it's also helping you because what you do in a daily basis is going to show you and give you some skills that you might need for your next position. So I think that sometimes we tend to think it's just a call, it's just a ticket. But I would love to see what happened if we stop doing this for one day. I would love to see, and
I'm
I
not sure
think,
that anyone wants to see that.
and I'm pretty sure that when you explain that to people, they get motivation because they understand that what they do it's so important for the company that we can't stop doing it. And I think that as human beings, we always need the why. It's crucial what we do. And I want them, when I talk about my people, I want them to understand that for me, it is not only tickets and calls. What we do is crucial. And it's part of this whole big picture that makes UV as the greatest company that we are.
Very nice. The problem with listening to people, because you talk about I listen to my team, right, which is great. But the problem with listening to people is that they have very diverse opinions, right? So, and then you get lots of different ideas about why something should work or shouldn't work, or how you can see something differently. And I'm just curious how you reconcile all the
Mhm.
different and maybe sometimes even contradictory ideas that you get from your team.
I think this is something I learned from Mauricio, which is disagree and commit. It's something that Mao has always said to me. Sometimes you might not be 100% on board with the idea, but if you had the time to listen and if you trust the ones that are there, there might be something behind it. When we are talking about my team, and we usually take the last week of the month to decide what's going to be our focus for next month, I always listen to different opinions. No, I don't think we have to pick this, I think we have to pick it. But I trust that we have allow us to say, okay, I disagree, but I commit, you know. So I think that sometimes when we're having different opinions and you can commit, you can trust, there might be additional things you want to check there. But believe me, I have been part of a lot of things that I didn't want to, but I trusted the ones that decided because I have seen what they have done. So I said, I might not be on board, but I trust you. I know you take a decision for something. Trust that we have.
Try to remember that. Disagree and commit. Mauricio is a wise man. I have one other question about how you remain connected with your team. Um, you're talking about how it's about the team, and you have to listen to them, and you communicate your belief in the service, and all of this. And I guess one of the challenges with leadership is that the people who are doing the work sometimes perceive the leaders to be very disconnected from what the
Mhm.
actual work is, right? And you, of course, you've been an agent, you've been in various other roles, but now you've been a team lead for a while. So the question is, how do you remain connected to what an agent does on a day to day?
Mhm. Actually, it's funny because I like to answer calls. I know this is not a very traditional way, but um, there a couple of months ago when I joined supply chain, I remembered that we had 5 calls waiting. And I remember someone told me, "Hey, just ask this agent to finish that call because it's taking more than 20 minutes. And I was honestly, I was doing a report. So I said to myself, I will just pick up the call. We pick up the call and I start talking with the user. It was something very easy to solve. And then I just said, let me ask this user. So I introduced myself to the user and I said, I'm the current team leader for this team, and I would like to hear about you, how the service is going. And it was something very simple. It was something super small. I didn't thought much about it, but I realized that for my team, they thought she's answering calls with us. She's not asking me to finish the call. She's just answering the calls. I have always, I have done this before, but I've done it because I said I wanted to keep my technical skills. That's what I thought. But then I understood that it was for them me putting in their shoes. So I said, you know what? Let me try to understand what they do. Supply chains was a completely new business unit for me. I always hear about them, how big they are, but I never supported. I never got in touch with them, not before me going into the leadership. So I said, you know what? Let me do this. Let me try to understand what they are going through. So I start taking calls and I start saying, well, this is challenging. You know, this is difficult because that day I took that hour and it was call after call after call, and I said to myself, "No, this can actually, it's tired. It's not easy to do this." So then I start having challenges in the part of learning because I started reading the KVs. It was so difficult to understand that I said, no, you know what? This has to change. This has to change. I need to understand what's going on. I need to understand why we have so many calls waiting. And I started having discussions here. We got to the point that we increased the amount of resources we had. And we also were able to change the trainings. For me, I did it because I thought it was the next step. But for my team, it feels like I was there with them. And that's what they said to me. I had a different overview of the things. I saw it in a different way because I got to understand what they were going through. So sometimes you will see people that there might be having performance issue. And it could be easy for me just to go to HR and write a warning. Very easy, nothing complicated. They even have structures where you put the name in. That will be it. But before doing that, I always like to sit with the agent and ask them, hey, what's going on? I would love to understand. Sometimes I hear I'm really tired, Hazel. This is hard to do. It's being a very pandemic season, busy, and I'm having this issue, or this is happening at my house. So what I have understand is that sometimes they are going through a lot of things, and it only takes 5 minutes from your time to talk to them, to say, hey, how are you doing? Or if someone say, hey, because I'm having this test, so ask them the next day, how was it? I think for it's natural for human beings to feel that you want to feel you belong to something. And when you got the chance to talk to your manager as it was your friend, anyone else, it makes you feel that it's okay to say, hey, I'm not having a good day. Is it okay for you if I take off? It's fine, just go. And it makes them understand that you are there with them. When I'm having difficult days, they are the ones actually saying, hey, Hazel, come, it's gonna be better. So I think it's a way of having this community. You know how I always say, like, we're family. I don't believe that. I think sometimes you don't, sometimes you don't like your family, and that's fine. So I like them to know that we are a community. Family, no, because family, it's, you might love your family, you might not. So that's a word I don't use. I like the word community. We are a community. We are looking for something. We want this place to be good and better every single day for us. So this is a community. You have your part, you compromise, I compromise, and we move this community to what we are looking for.
Well, I'm really happy that you're part of the community, Hazel. It's easy to see after speaking with you about this topic specifically. It's easy to see why your team is doing so well and so motivated. And thank you for being on the podcast and for sharing your experience and your journey and your very simple and practical and I think real life tips for how to be a better leader. It's very good to hear that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was really nice to talk to you.